is a rare disease passed down through families that affects the muscles and hearts. Those who are diagnosed with FA end up in a wheelchair around their early teenage years. The hospital won't test newborns for this disease because there is no cure yet, which is why most people start noticing the symptoms between 7 and 17 years of age. I first came across this incurable disease when I was asked to help raise money to find a cure. Why not, I thought. After hearing some of the children's testimonies, I was excited and motivated to help raise money to further the research for FA. Last year, a group of us raised money and asked for donations and pressured our family members into sponsoring us. 4 of us girls raised a little over $1,000, which was not bad for our first time. We then later were informed we are going to participate in a 25-mile bike race with other people from all over raising money for their own independent charities. We were so excited. My friend Haley and I started to plan. We got a hotel room in Palm Springs because the race was Tour de Palm Springs, and we also arranged to borrow bikes from people just to keep the cost down. The day arrived, we headed out to Palm Springs. The winds were about 40 miles per hour and the sun was shining, but it wasn't too hot. We didn't think it was that bad, or so we thought. I ended up borrowing a decent-looking hybrid bike from a lady I worked with who was also doing the race but had a newer, shinier-looking bike. She explained it was a cross between a road bike and a mountain bike and would be perfect for a 25-mile bike race. Downtown Palm Springs was beautiful and crowded. People were everywhere, but mostly bikers. There were booths set up with snacks, water bottles, friendly people handing out free shirts, and the whole 9 yards. The 25-mile bike race started at 9:30. We were a little early, so we hung out and met other FARA team members. FARA stands for Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance. The race began. It started out a little hectic, a little crowded. Riders were everywhere, but a little after the first or second mile, we had room to bike. As we were riding, I began to feel my legs burning, and it became harder to breathe. I was startled because I thought I was in pretty good shape. We came to mile 5 and nothing was getting easier. My friend felt the same. We were miserable and expressed that to each other multiple times while riding. The 40 miles per hour winds didn't help either. Long story short, we stopped twice to take breaks and 25 miles couldn't come sooner. We finished the bike race 3 hours and 30 minutes later. Haley and I met up with the rest of our group who looked like they hadn't even broken a sweat. We were a little embarrassed and they joked that Haley and I were 20 years younger than them and they beat us by an hour. I was convinced that the bike I rode was either too small, too old, or just too terrible. About 2 weeks ago, the bike ride rolls around again and I literally am dreading the race. Although raising money for this amazing cause was exciting and heartwarming, the idea of the bike ride made me feel miserable. I decided I would do it again and see how it went. I refused to ride the same bike, so I rented one. One of the girls in the group with us rode the bike that I rode last year. I even warned her because I thought it was that horrible. We raised about $1,000 again and met even more people involved in FARA. It was awesome. The day of the bike ride, we were running a little late, but we made it just in time. It was a little cooler and definitely not as windy. We started to ride and I didn't even realize we were already at 5 miles. This year was so much better. The gears were working and I was working but not working too hard. About 100 feet behind us at all times was the girl who was riding the bike I rode last year. She swore something was wrong with it, and she said she felt like she was pedaling and the bike wasn't going anywhere. My exact thoughts last year. This year, I just cruised on by, and I'm glad that I didn't let the first bike race stop me from doing the second, third, or fourth for a remarkable organization.